Chapter 16. Then went Shimshon to Gaza, and saw there a harlot, and went in unto her. And it was told the Shofetiym, saying, Shimshon is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Shimshon lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of a hill that is before Chevron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the Cepher of the Pelishtim came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lies, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give you every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Shimshon, Tell me, I pray, you wherein your great strength lies, and wherewith you might be bound to afflict you. And Shimshon said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green cords that were never dried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Then the Cepher of the Pelishtim brought up to her 7 green cords, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, The Pelishtim be upon you, Shimshon. And he broke the cords, as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Shimshon, Behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray you, wherewith you might be bound. And he said unto her, If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said unto him, The Pelishtim be upon you, Shimshon. And there were liars in wait, abiding in the chamber. And he broke them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Shimshon, Hitherto you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith you might be bound. And he said unto her, If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him, The Pelishtim be upon you, Shimshon. And he awoke out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him, How can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and have not told me wherein your great strength lies. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There has not come a razor upon my head, for I have been a Nazir unto Elohim from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the Cepher of the Pelishtim, saying, Come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart. Then the Cepher of the Pelishtim came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees. And she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Pelishtim be upon you, Shimshon. And he awoke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as at other times before, and shake myself. And he knew not that Yahuwah was departed from him. But the Pelishtim took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass. And he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the Cepher of the Pelishtim gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their Elohim, and to rejoice. For they said, Our Elohim has delivered Shimshon our enemy into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their Elohim. For they said, Our Elohim has delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Shimshon, that he may make us sport. And they called for Shimshon out of the prison house, and he made them sport. And they set him between the pillars. And Shimshon said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house stands, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the Cepher of the Pelishtim were there. And there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Shimshon made sport. And Shimshon called unto Yahuwah, and said, O Adonai Yahuwah, remember me, I pray you, and strengthen me, I pray you, only this once, O Elohim, that I may be at once avenged of the Pelishtim for my 2 eyes. And Shimshon took hold of the middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. And Shimshon said, Let me die with the Pelishtim. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the Serenim, and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead, which he slew at his death, were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Sorah and Eshtaol, in the burying place of Manoach his father. And he judged Yasharel 20 years. Chapter 17. And there was a man of Mount Ephraim, whose name was Micaiah, and he said unto his mother, The 1100 shekels of silver that were taken from you, about which you cursed, and spoke of also in my ears, behold, the silver is with me, I took it. And his mother said, Blessed be you of Yahuwah, my son. And when he had restored the 1100 shekels of silver to his mother said, I had wholly dedicated the silver unto Yahuwah from my hand for my son, to make a graven image and a molten image. Now therefore I will restore it unto you. Yet he restored the money unto his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver, and gave them to the founder, who made thereof a graven image and a molten image, and they were in the house of Micaiah. And the man Micah had a house of Elohim, and made an ephod, and teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons, who became his priest. In those days there was no king in Yasharel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. And there was a young man out of Beit Lechem Yehudah of the family of Yehudah, who was a Levi, and he sojourned there. And the man departed out of the city from Beit Lechem Yehudah to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim to the house of Micah as he journeyed. And Micah said unto him, Whence do you come? And he said unto him, I am a Levi of Beit Lechem Yehudah, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place. And Micah said unto him, Dwell with me, and be unto me a father and a priest, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suit of apparel, and your victuals. So the Levi went in. And the Levi was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. And Micah consecrated the Levi, and the young man became his priest, and was in the house of Micah. Then said Micah, Now know I that Yahuwah will do me good, seeing I have a Levi to my priest. Chapter 18. In those days there was no king in Yasharel, and in those days the tribe of the Danim sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Yasharel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coasts, men of valor from Sorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go, search the land, who, when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man, the Levi, and they turned in thither, and said unto him, Who brought you hither? And what make you in this place? And what have you here? And he said unto them, Thus and thus deals Micah with me, and has hired me, and I am his priest. And they said unto him, Ask counsel, we pray you, of Elohim, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous. And the priest said unto them, Go in peace. Before Yahuwah is your way wherein ye go. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Sidonim, quiet and secure. And there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything. And they were far from the Sidonim, and had no business with any man. And they came unto their brethren to Tzorah and Eshtaol, and their brethren said unto them, What say ye? And they said, Arise, that we may go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good, and are ye still? Be not slothful to go, and to enter to possess the land. When ye go, ye shall come unto a people secure, and to a large land. For Elohim has given it into your hands, a place where there is no want of anything that is in the earth. And there went from thence of the family of the Danim, out of Tzorah, and out of Eshtaol, 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And they went up and pitched in Kiriath Yearim, in Yehudah. Wherefore they called that place Machanedan unto this day. Behold, it is behind Kiriath Jearim. And they passed thence unto Mount Ephraim, and came unto the house of Micah. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren, Do ye know that there is in these houses an ephod, and teraphim, and a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider what ye have to do. And they turned thitherward, and came to the house of the young man the Levii, even unto the house of Micah, and saluted. And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up and came in thither, and took the graven image, and the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. And the priest stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. And these went into Micah's house, and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them, What do ye? And they said unto him, Hold your peace, lay your hand upon your mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be a priest unto the house of one man, or that you be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Yasharel? And the priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod, and the teraphim, and the graven image, and went in the midst of the people. So they turned and departed, and put the little ones and the cattle in the carriage before them. And when they were a good way from the house of Micah, the men that were in the houses near to Micah's house were gathered together, and overtook the children of Dan. And they cried unto the children of Dan. And they turned their faces and said unto Micah, What ails you that you come with such company? And he said, Ye have taken away my Elohim which I made, and the priest, and ye are gone away. And what have I more? And what is this that ye say unto me? What ails you? And the children of Dan said unto him, Let not your voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon you, and you lose your life, the lives of your household. And the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back unto his house. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priest which he had, and came unto Laish, unto a people that were at quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no business with any man. And it was in the valley that lies by Beit Rechoth. And they built a city, and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Yasharel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image. And Jehonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made all the time that the house of Elohim was in Shiloh. Chapter 19. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Yasharel, that a certain Levii sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Beit Lechem Yehudah, and his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Beit Lechem Yehudah, and was there 4 whole months. And her man arose, and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodged there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort your heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For damsel's father had said unto man, Be content, I pray you, and tarry all night, and let your heart be merry. And when they rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him, therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort your heart, I pray you. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine, and his servant his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draws toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day grows to an end. Lodge here, that your heart may be merry. And tomorrow get you early on your way, that you may go home. But the man would not tarry that night, But he rose up and departed, and came over against Yevuk, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. And when they were by Yevuk, the day was far spent. And the servant said unto his Adonai, Come, I pray you, and let us turn in into this city of the Yevuchim, and lodge in it. And his Adonai said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger, that is not of the children of Yasharel. We will pass over to Givah. And he said unto his servant, Come and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night, in Givah or in Ramah. And they passed on, went their way. And the sun went down upon them when they were by Givah, which belongs to Binyamin. And they turned aside thither, to go in and to lodge in Givah. And when he went in, he sat him down in a street of the city, for there was no man that took them into his house to lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of field at evening, which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Givah. But the men of the place were bin ha-Yamini. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither do you go? And whence do you come? And he said unto him, We are passing from Beit Lechem Yehuda toward the side of Mount Ephraim. From thence am I. And I went to Beit Lechem Yehuda, but I am now going to house of Yahuwah. And there is no man that receives me to house. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for your handmaid, and for the young man which is with your servants. There is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with you. Howsoever let all your wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house, and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet, and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into your house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly. Seeing that this man is come into my house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seems good unto you, but unto this man do not so vile a thing. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine, and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her, and abused her all the night until the morning, and when the day began to spring, they let her go. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Adonai was, till it was light. And her Adonai rose up in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way. Behold, the woman his concubine was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up, and got him unto his place. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife, and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her, together with her bones, into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Yasharel. And it was so that all that saw it said, There was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Yasharel came up out of the land of Mitzrayim unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. Chapter 20. Then all the children of Yasharel went out, and the assembly was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilad, unto El-Yahuwah in Mitzpah. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Yasharel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of Elohim, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Binyamin heard that the children of Yasharel were gone up to Mitzpah. Then said the children of Yasharel, Tell us, how was this wickedness? And the Levi, the man of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Givah that belongs to Binyamin, I and my concubine to lodge. And the men of Givah rose against me, and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me. And my concubine have they forced, that she is dead. And I took my concubine, and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Yasharel. For they have committed lewdness and folly in Yasharel. Behold, ye are all children of Yasharel. Give here your advice and counsel. And all the people arose as one man, saying, We will not of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn into his house. But now this shall be the thing which we will do to Givah. we will go up by lot against it. And we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Yasharel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000 to fetch victual for people, that they may do when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly they have wrought in Yasharel. So all the men of Yasharel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Yasharel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Yasharel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Yasharel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah, to go out to battle against the children of Yasharel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, beside the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people there were 700 chosen men left-handed. Every one could sling stones at a hairbreadth and not miss. And the men of Yasharel, beside Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword. All these were men of war. And the children of Yasharel arose, and went up to the house of Elohim, and asked counsel of Elohim, and said, Which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And Yahuwah said, Yehudah shall go up first. And the children of Yasharel rose up in morning, and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Yasharel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Yasharel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah, and destroyed down to the ground of Yasharel that day 22,000 men. And the people, the men of Yasharel, encouraged themselves, and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Yasharel went up and wept before Yahuwah until even, and asked counsel of Yahuwah, saying, Shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin my brother? And Yahuwah said, Go up against him. And the children of Yasharel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Yasharel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Then all the children of Yasharel and all the people went and came unto the house of Elohim, and wept, and sat there before Yahuwah, and fasted that until even, and offered, ascending smoke offerings and peace offerings before Yahuwah. And the children of Yasharel inquired of Yahuwah, for the ark, the covenant of Elohim, was there in those days, and Pinachak, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aharon, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin my brother, or shall I cease? And Yahuwah said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand. And Yasharel set liers in wait round about Gibeah. And the children of Yasharel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah as other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and began to smite of the people, and kill, as at other times, in the highways, of which one goes up to the house of Elohim, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Yasharel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us, as at the first. But the children of Yasharel said, Let us flee and them from the city unto the highways. And all the men of Yasharel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baal Tamar. And the liers in wait of Yasharel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Yasharel, and battle was sore. But they knew not that evil was near them. And Yahuwah smote Benjamin before Yasharel, and the children of Yasharel destroyed of the Ben-ha-Yamini that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for the men of Yasharel gave place to the Ben-ha-Yamini, because they trusted unto the liers in wait which they had set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibeah. The liers in wait drew themselves along and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Yasharel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Yasharel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Yasharel about 30 persons. For they said, Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle. But when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Ben-ha-Yamini looked behind them, And behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the men of Yasharel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Yasharel unto the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Ben-Hayaminim round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Givah toward the sunrising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gidom, and slew 2,000 men of them. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Yasharel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city as the beast, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to.